Just more and more lies. That's certainly the feeling that I get from social media today, and in respect of the WASPI women, the Women Against State Pension Inequality. So more about that in just a moment. But first of all, if you're new to me, I'm Daniel Shen-Smith, a barrister of England and Wales. I'd be very grateful if you'd subscribe to my channel if you enjoy the news, the law, and what affects you, the viewer, on an ongoing daily basis, it would seem, just recently. So what are we talking about? So this is all about the changes in the age for state pension, and specifically to do with women, hence the effect that it has on the WASPI women, the Women Against State Pension Inequality. In short, the argument is that they lost out on a huge chunk of their pension because of the changing of the age of pension eligibility. So, as a very brief potted history, in case you don't know what this is all about, historically, the age for pension for women in the UK was 60 years old, whilst for men it was 65. In 1995, the Pensions Act introduced changes that would equalise the pension age for men and women, gradually increasing women's age from 60 to 65. In 2011, the Pensions Act accelerated this timetable so that the state pension age for both sexes would eventually rise to 66 and beyond. But there was an argument that there was a lack of notice, in that many women then argued that they were not properly informed of those changes or the impact that it's going to have on their retirement plans. Many women, not having the same equal access to pensions and so on, would stay at home to look after children and so on. Many of them saying that they only found out very shortly before their expected retirement, leaving them with little or no time to plan or adjust whatsoever. And just as an aside, this is not a sponsor. I've just soft launched a course on self-defense law for martial artists and for everybody. I've done it voluntarily for my organisation. All the money goes to them in helping people to defend themselves. More about that at the end of the video, or if you're impatient, the link's below. As to the WASPI campaign itself, some people may respectfully misunderstand and think that they are against the equalisation of state pension age, which is not the case. In fact, WASPI agrees with the equalisation, but did not agree with the unfair changes in the way that they were implemented. Firstly, that they were neither personally nor appropriately notified of these changes, first of all in 1995, and secondly hit for a second time in 2011, when the further changes brought about these changes faster than the coalition had originally promised, and again with little or no time to plan for retirement, thus missing out on a huge chunk of money and opportunity. Fast forward to 2018, and whipping through this rather quickly, there was a judicial review that challenged the legality of the way that the government handled these changes, claiming in essence that it was discrimination based on age and sex, arguing that these changes in the way that they were implemented was unfair. In 2019, but this was whilst there was an ombudsman challenge going on, come back to that in a moment, the judicial review, which is where a judge looks at the legality of a decision made by a public body, the judge in that case concluded that while the changes did disproportionately affect women born in the 1950s, they did not amount to unlawful discrimination, and thus the court essentially ruled that the government was in its legal right to implement those changes. However, as mentioned, whilst this was all going on, there was also a complaint to the Parliamentary and Health Service Ombudsman. Now, they can look at complaints and make recommendations, but importantly, their rulings are not legally binding. However, through a long-winded process supported by the findings of the Judicial Review, which said that women born in the 50s were disproportionately affected, the Ombudsman did conclude that the government had failed to adequately inform thousands of women that the state pension age had changed, and accordingly had recommended that they should be compensated in payments between £1,000 and just under £3,000. Which was less than what WASPI had called for, but a compensation recommendation nonetheless. So I'll link the WASPI website down below so you can read more about the history, but in short, this government has refused to pay compensation as recommended by the Ombudsman to over 3.5 million women affected by the change in state pension age, even though the court acknowledged that it disproportionately affected women born in the 50s, and this is what Rachel Reeves had to say about it.
I understand that women affected by the changes to the state pension age feel disappointed by this decision, but we looked in full at the Ombudsman recommendations, and they said that around 90% of women did know that these changes were coming, and as Chancellor I have to account for every penny of taxpayers' money spent, and given that the vast majority of people did know about these changes, I didn't judge that it would be the best use of taxpayers' money.
So in short, she says, because most people knew about it, the rest, it's just tough, is essentially what she said. Now, I'm not here to tell you whether or not that's the right decision, whether it's the best use of taxpayers' money. Some people may agree, some people may disagree. That's not really the point of this video. The point of this video is really to let you know that this has happened, and as many people have had the argument as to whether or not this was in any way disingenuous or at worst dishonest by members, current members of government, for statements that they made before they were in government. And I make the following suggestion to you. If we take a look at some of these previous statements, one of which made by Angela Rayner, and of course campaigns where others went around the country standing with WASPI women making these statements. So allow me to show you these short clips here.
Well, the government failed the women who were born in the 1950s. They stole their pension, that contract, that agreement that they thought they had, and then accelerated it so that those women didn't have the chance to prepare for that. We've said we'll right that injustice, and within the 5 years of the Labour government, we will compensate them for the money that they've lost. This is their money that they've had stolen off them, and it's completely unacceptable. And any government should act responsibly to these women who have looked after their children through that period. They're often looking after elderly relatives now, and they're a part of our society that have felt really unjust by the way they've been treated, and it's absolutely right that we deal with this issue.
So absolutely clear and unequivocal, all the reasons that have been laid out as to why they ought to be compensated. Again, this is not to tell you that they should or shouldn't. You may disagree with that, but I'm not here to tell you what to think. But that was an unequivocal statement by Angela Rayner. This was obviously a prior statement, but it wasn't the only one. There was another short clip here with Yvette Cooper from 2017. Take a listen to this one.
I'm here with the 5 towns and Yorkshire WASPI women. They've been running a great campaign on behalf of women right across this area but across the country as well, who've been so badly treated by this Tory government. They've had their pension age increase, no proper warning, it's moving the goalposts when people can't plan. It's completely unfair.
And so, again, a completely unequivocal statement there. And you can see from various photographs here, the other members also making this very clear what their views are. Keir Starmer, justice to end historic injustice. And as Darren Grimes pointed out here as well, the previous statement by Keir Starmer, 2019, Labour pledges £58 billion to help women caught in the pension trap. Now, of course, there is an argument that this would be very expensive to compensate everybody. There was some suggestion at some stage that everybody should get £10,000 or so. This would obviously be in the region of £36 billion. Now, those numbers fluctuated up and down, and ultimately it said that around 10% were affected, so some 300,000 people were affected, and that they should be paid between £1,000 and £3,000. But ultimately, Rachel Reeves has decided that there is no compensation to pay. And the reason that this, I think, has lit up social media in the last 24 hours or so is the disparity between previous statements, which in any other scenario, certainly in a court of law, would be a previous inconsistent statement. It would be a change in the story, not sticking to the plan, not sticking to what they've said. And just another reason, again, without telling you what to think about this, but again, just another reason that I suggest, based on all of this, you can't really trust anything that they say. Because if someone has a track record of changing what they've said, and I count among those Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves, here Angela Rayner, they've said things previously which they are now going back on. Now, of course, things do change and you can change certain things at certain times, but these are so many things changed so drastically, so often, and it does leave people with that view that you simply cannot rely on anything that they've previously said. And many people say that they've been dishonest to get into power, and having changed everything that they've once pledged to do, they are now no longer doing. So that is what caught my eye yesterday and this morning to talk to you about on this channel. And now, just before we go, I did mention to you previously that I was going to do a course on self-defense law aimed at martial artists, but for everybody, really. I've done the first video. It's about 30 minutes long, the first video in the series. There's going to be a series of them. This is one of a number of initiatives I'm doing for a number of organizations. This first one is for my martial arts club, the TC UK, the Taekwondo Council of United Kingdom. I am a member. I'm a master 7th degree black belt there, but all of the money here is going directly to them. It is not coming to me. The link is in the description below. I hope you'll support me and support my organisation, which ultimately is going to help not just martial artists, but a lot of people understand how you can defend yourself, what the law says about defending yourself, what level of force. We'll bring in all sorts of examples. So as I say, the link is in the description below. I've just set it up, so I hope that it all works. If it doesn't work, you can email me and we'll sort that out later. It's contact@blackbeltbarrister.com. You can email me there and we'll help to sort that out. But for now, thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.